We have a special guest here to celebrate the 20th episode of Totally Unqualified. Linus Leventhal, say hello to the podcast.
By the way, he's not really special. He's here every week, and every week you say he's a special guest.
Yeah, but he's most perfect
He's
this
a regular
week.
now.
He's most perfect this week because he just got a little shower. Also, he's not here every single week. He's on the floor most weeks. Liney!
Okay, enough talk about the dog. I feel like, why do we always talk about the dog? Who cares?
Because you know why I put the dog in? Because somebody makes me upload the video to YouTube, and guess what? Some people look forward to seeing him on the video.
Okay. Liney looks nice and clean. Ava gave him a bath, a shower.
Okay. Yes, and he's here to celebrate our 20 episodes.
Woohoo, 20. That's pretty good.
That's how many months? That's over 4 months, but we have taken some weeks off.
Yes, we have a few here and there.
A few here and there. Anyway, we are excited to be back this week. We are releasing the episode on time, and I don't really have much to say, so I feel like we should just go into housekeeping.
Let's dive right into housekeeping. Okay. Guess what? We had a lot of feedback on life skills. Everybody wants to chime in on what they think a life skill is.
Everybody.
And I'm just going to say AJ up front called right away and said, you need to know how to snake a toilet.
Snake a drain, not snake a toilet.
Okay, snake a drain. I do not know how to do that because we've always had a handyman.
You don't know how to snake a drain?
No, we don't own a snake.
Put the metal thing down?
No, we do not own a snake. We always
Okay.
call our super because we don't live in a house.
Do you think Dad can snake a drain?
I think he has not a clue.
I feel like you just put the metal thing down in the...
We don't own a snake. We call our super. We go downstairs, say
Okay.
to the doorman, we have a problem, and they send somebody out.
Okay, fine.
But I do want to know how to do that. I think I should.
Snake a drain.
Yeah, that was AJ.
Sew a button, AJ also said. And
No,
so
yes,
did
that's
Natalie.
True. Mm-hmm.
AF said use an electric drill. Ellen is the queen and can teach everybody.
It's true. I like a good electric drill. I did use it this week. I went to Will's apartment and drilled away.
We had a callback to an old episode where somebody said filling out their tax forms. I felt like that was
that's a good
funny because Dad, got mad at me.
That person and Dad might really get along very well.
We got budgeting.
Yeah, yep, for sure.
Natalie said basic cooking.
We did say that.
But making sure that you know when chicken is cooked through, eggs, pasta, and the basics. Then I went out with my friends for drinks, and I got a few. French braiding hair.
Oh, I do not know how to do that.
Neither do I. I think that's a great one.
I once tried to learn, and I just couldn't do it.
Sewing a hole, we said... This is a Natalie one. How to use a tourniquet to stop a bleed.
That's not a bad one. Like, when you get a really serious
That's exactly
deep
what she
wound?
said, like how to get something to stop bleeding.
Yeah, so you have to tie it really tightly. Like, if you ever put a Band-Aid on your finger really tightly so it turns it blue, but it does stop the bleeding. Natalie has weighed in a lot.
I know. Natalie is really into these skills. How to open a fire extinguisher.
Oh, that's a good one, too.
How to properly set a table.
Wait, could I back up on that? I think everybody needs to own a fire extinguisher, and
True.
We don't.
Wait, guys, this is actually crazy. So, senior year of college, we had a fire in our apartment, and we had to call 911. Like, something underneath the oven caught on fire. And we had a fire extinguisher, and I think Jordan tried to pull the pin, and it was expired. Like, we had one. We were actually doing the right thing. And the Syracuse Fire Department was so mean to us. They were like, it wasn't a big fire. You didn't have to call us. Our fire extinguisher didn't work. It literally didn't work. It was crazy.
So I think everybody, including us, I always mean to buy a fire extinguisher. I should buy one.
I feel like everybody's apartment should come with one.
I know, it's true. Like a smoke detector,
Yeah.
it should come with one.
Okay. Did I say setting a table?
Yes.
I think that's
No, you didn't say setting
I think
a
that's
table.
a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Like, which side did the glass go on? Like
The
B or
fork
the
and
D?
the knife.
Remember the B and
Yeah.
the D. D is for drink. Put up your fingers.
I also always do the left and right things still.
For those of you who don't know, when you put up your left and an L,
Who
your
wouldn't
fingers
know that?
left and right, the L is your left.
Who
Or
wouldn't
the
know
B
that?
and the D. Natalie taught me that, actually, the B and the D.
What?
The bread and the drink.
Oh, yeah, that's a Natalie
The
favorite.
bread and the drink for when you're setting a table. Do it with your fingers, and that's the side.
Packing a suitcase.
Yeah, I can do it like nobody's business. If anyone wants a tutorial, get in touch. Same thing with packing a trunk.
Nell was hell-bent on everybody knowing how to change a tire and basic car issues. Pumping gas is another one because I have some friends.
Wait. Really?
From Jersey?
It's pretty easy to
Some
know how
people-
to pump gas.
If I pumped gas, I could put the wrong gas in it.
Well, you should know what kind of gas your car takes, but pumping gas is pretty easy.
I don't know. Some people don't know.
Maybe I should take you to learn that.
No, I can do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you done it?
Okay, another one. There are
See,
two
she hasn't done
more.
it. Why?
Because
she
no,
does
Dad
not
has made me do
drive.
it. Dad has made me do it.
Okay.
Two more. Okay, this one I don't know what we were trying to say, so let us know next week. But I think this is another Natalie, which is cut fruit. I don't know what about cutting fruit.
Well, sometimes no,
Maybe like cutting an apple
or cutting a pineapple, right?
Yeah.
You take off the top with all the spikies,
or like a
and then
watermelon.
and then the bottom, so then it sits flat, and then you go around.
I guess like basic knife skills is kind of a good one.
I think that's very important, actually, because as I've told everybody, I sliced my finger open cutting a bagel.
And then hanging a picture.
Yep, very a little hard to make it perfect. So for life skills, last week I said I think you should know how to read a room, and then there was a little controversy on whether or not that is a skill or not.
I just want you to know that at this drinks, social cues and being aware socially did come up, and we were saying, I mean, I think my stance is kind of like you get to an age where you might not be able to learn that because it's such an innate skill. But people at the table disagreed and felt like at any age you can still learn how to read a room. I personally don't believe that. I kind of think that like once you're an adult and you don't know how to do that, you're kind of screwed. But some people believe it's not too late.
Well, I did look for research on it, and I didn't have a ton of time, but the anecdotal research I found was certainly lean toward kids, that you can teach kids to do activities like put them in a social setting and have them observe one person, then talk to them like, what did they observe? What did the person's face look like? What did it feel like in the room? There was something else that I thought was interesting that they did. Understanding body language. Were they smiling? Were they not smiling?
Yeah.
So I think maybe it'd be harder with an adult if the person was not game to learn, but it does seem like it is a teachable skill. A lot of it is listening and observing.
Yeah.
So walk into a room and like look around and see what the vibe is, or the tone of the event, or even the decibel level. Like, are people talking loudly, soft? Like, I think you could learn that.
There was also a lot of talk, and my friends were split. Some people my age did grow up going to home ec, while others of us didn't have
Really?
it. So
Oh.
it wasn't completely dead. But we came to the conclusion that home ec and sex ed should just be taught in one class.
Life skills.
Yes.
Let's teach life skills, baby.
Seems as though nobody has
Let's
them.
do it. And it's not typing. They taught typing when I was a kid.
I was taught typing too, and I
Really?
type well.
I don't know.
Natalie was taught typing too, but she does not type well.
I do not type well. I was not taught typing.
I
failed
can type
the
and not look.
I failed the typing. No, I can do that too now on a keyboard, but I failed the typing test for my first job. Did I discuss that already?
You have discussed that with me already.
I did fail, and they almost didn't give me the job. And the woman who was became my boss said, "If you need to type, then that's not the job for you." I'm like,
Wow.
excellent. So she hired me. Okay, I did want to say one other thing about the extinguisher and knowing how to cook. I think it's very, very important and I know we talked about this a little bit last week, that everybody learns how to cook with oil and butter on the stove. Because as a kid, I made a fire by mistake when I was trying to make popcorn on the stovetop. And it occurred to me that Dad's family put a whole new wing on their home, right? From the kitchen, they made the new room, which was like a kitchen living room area. And then his mom, Gra, made French fries, and it started fire and it burned the new room down.
No way. I
Yes.
didn't know about that.
Oh, maybe it didn't burn the new room down. Maybe it burned down the kitchen, so then they created the new room. That's what it was. Yes.
I did not know
Burned
that.
down half the house.
She did?
Uh-huh.
I had no idea.
French fries. Yep.
Oh my
Making
God.
French fries.
When did that happen?
When they were kids. And so then they made the new room, which was the living area
I had no
with the
idea
kitchen.
that
Yes,
happened.
that's why
That's
that room looked
crazy.
different.
That's crazy.
New room. So everybody needs to know how to cook with oil.
Or
and
maybe
not
put
to
out a grease fire.
Yes, not to make it too hot. Put that lid right on the fire, baby.
Okay, that's a good one. Anything else?
Not for housekeeping, no.
So let us know if you have any other integral abilities that people should have. I think we were pretty comprehensive, though.
We were, but we can really get into the nitty gritty, like budgeting. Yeah, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
With money, I think
Yeah.
there's a lot there to know.
Yeah. Okay, let us know. We're still open to hearing what you guys think are crucial life skills that our listeners should have. Moving on. What?
That was a long way to say it twice.
What? Integral life skills.
I know. Okay, let's move on.
Oh my God.
Okay, love and hate.
Love and hate.
Can I start the love?
Can I start the hate? You gotta stop rubbing your legs because I'm scared the mic is gonna pick it up.
Really? Am I rubbing my
Yes.
legs? I thought I'm rubbing my
No,
arms.
when you talk, you like to rub, and
I do?
yes.
Has anyone noticed that watching? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
I've never noticed it until I've gotten concerned about the sound.
Okay, I'm putting my hands
Yeah.
on the table.
Yep.
You
Put
can
your hands
see
where we
my
can see
hands
them.
Where you can see them.
Okay, yes, you can start. That wasn't my hate, by the way. I'm not wasting it on that one.
Okay, my love. This could be my love and hate, but it doesn't have to
You
be.
do this every week.
I know. I
It's
only
just
did it
come
last
up with
week.
two.
Okay, my love is in this home. Some people like to watch the Olympics. Some people like to watch the Oscars or the Grammys. In this home, our big day of the year is indeed the Met Gala.
Met Monday is huge for us.
And we experienced it yesterday.
We love a Met Monday in our house.
We watched it for hours. We had to critique every single outfit. And I just want to say a few
After
things.
the Vogue live stream ended, we then went on to watch 3 different AP, Reuters, and Page 6 live streams because the carpet wasn't over. And do you know that we turned it off before Rihanna arrived?
I saw Rihanna.
I didn't love it.
I did.
Ugh, you would.
I thought, and by the way, how great is that? Like, I'm having a baby. Let's show it all off. I thought she looked great. Okay.
She
I
was
wanna
very
just
on
say-
theme.
I want to
I
say
didn't
who
love
I
the
loved.
polka dot collar.
Can
Whatever.
we please just say who we loved?
Zendaya.
Zendaya, by far
Our
the
favorite.
greatest. She was. I think it was a big night for Louis Vuitton and for Pharrell.
Pharrell killed it on every
Killed it.
front. Doechii, Sabrina, Zendaya,
Pharrell.
Pharrell's wife.
And so I just want to say one thing about Zendaya. She wore this body skimming white suit with a white fedora, or maybe it was cream. Stunning. And did you see on the back of the suit there was a snake in gold, in silver?
No, let me look it up.
Fantastic, unbelievable. I think Pharrell designed hers and designed a few of them.
He designed all the Louis Vuitton ones.
I'm going to say about Pharrell that I wish he had worn a cape or some sort of schmutty over the jacket. But that jacket, if you didn't see it up close, it was like a million pearls that were made a white tuxedo jacket. Absolutely phenomenal.
Wait, I'm looking up Zendaya right now.
Absolutely phenomenal.
None of these pictures have the back.
I'm gonna
Oh, I see.
See it?
It's a small snake. You made it
Yes.
sound like it
no,
went
a
down
little
the
tiny snake up at the
yeah,
neck.
cool.
It was really cool. So I love that. But you know what? Look from Louis Vuitton I didn't like.
Sabrina.
I didn't. I didn't like that Sabrina Carpenter. I didn't like that
It's
everyone's
very
walking around in a
her.
unitard. Even his wife, Pharrell's wife, Helen.
Yeah.
She wore a
oh
unitard.
my God. Did you hear about this whole controversy? She might have been wearing Pharrell too. That like.
Okay, I'll talk about Janelle Monáe.
Wait, it was Lisa. It was Mook.
Oh, Mook. Yeah, from White Lotus. White Lotus just keeps coming up.
Yeah. Apparently, people think the Louis Vuitton panties Lisa wore to the 2025 Met Gala have Rosa Parks' face on it. Mm-hmm.
I think that's not good.
Because it's like all faces on her tushy.
How would you know that's Rosa Parks? I
Wait.
don't know. That does not. I'm looking. Everybody Google, what's her name? Lisa's underwear, Met Gala. It just looks like random faces to me, not Rosa Parks.
Wait, let's see if there's a...
And by the way, did Pharrell design that?
He did.
I don't
That
think
feels
he
like
would do
a
that.
really weird call for him
I
to
don't
do
think
that.
he would do that. Although, maybe I'm partial because I do, in my life,
him.
love Pharrell.
I know, he can't do anything
I
wrong.
do.
Okay, whatever.
Can we just talk about Janelle Monáe?
Ugh, hers was second to Zendaya. I
And
loved
they
the
took-
monocle.
They did the reveal of the coat.
So good.
And then underneath, absolutely phenomenal.
she's
Tom
always
Brown.
dressed amazing.
Amazing. And who's the guy that I loved? He wore Tommy Hilfiger, came in as a Formula One driver, and he ripped
Yes.
off his Formula One suit and wore that sequined helmet in red, white, and blue.
Mm-hmm.
And then was wearing this incredible red suit that I thought was phenomenal. Absolutely. I forget
His
what his name
name
is.
is...
I loved him.
His name is...
There were a lot that I really liked.
Damson Idris.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I loved it. Is there
I
anyone?
felt like there were
you
a lot
loved
of people that weren't there.
Wait, you loved
Michael
Cardi.
B. Jordan wasn't there.
Didn't you love
Idris
Cardi?
Elba wasn't
No,
there.
yeah, he wasn't there.
Um,
Didn't you love Cardi?
I loved Cardi. I
She wore a
loved
green, almost
the
like velvet.
disco vibe. She
Yeah.
looked amazing. Yeah, overall, I was very impressed. Anne Hathaway has been on everyone's hate list, and I totally agree. She gave nothing. Amelia Gray.
I thought Amelia Gray the worst.
Blech,
The
we
worst.
hated. Hate.
Red lace with a cap
It's so
on
fucking
and
weird.
white and
It's so
like
weird.
fishnets or something. It just
Kardashians
didn't
all
look
gave simple. People liked Kylie. I didn't love Kylie.
good. No,
Overall,
people thought it was too boring,
we
and they
lo-
didn't like him.
we love Met Monday in our house.
Love it so much. Gayle King, I like you as a human being, but that purple number was just terrible. Just so
Wait,
bad.
the best. There were two that we forgot. First, I don't know her name. The girl that wore the billowing sleeves.
Oh, she wore Zach Posen. She wore
Laura?
a beautiful cream Zach Posen
Hers-
giant bell bottoms and billowing sleeves. It was phenomenal.
Her and Zendaya were definitely my top two. And
wait, wasn't that Zach
Walter
Posen for?
Goggins.
Oh yeah, I like Walton.
You liked him.
I did. I liked his skirt in black and white. There was a lot of black and white.
Laura Harrier.
Yeah.
Is her name.
Beautiful. That was Zach Posen for Gap.
For
right?
Gap.
Which was-
ASAP Rocky also. They're the most impeccably dressed couple. And then wait, there was one more person that we're forgetting. Oh. You know?
Oh, are you gonna go Hailey Bieber?
No, she
Oh.
gave nothing.
But her shoes were very good.
Diana Ross.
I didn't really see it.
Mom.
I know. I've seen it in the pictures
shut
now.
it down.
I know, and she's 80. Do you know she's 80?
I know the last Met Gala I think she went to was in like 2000 or something.
I also did not see Anna Wintour. I didn't see
she
her.
went very early.
And I didn't see what she wore. And know who else has been controversial?
That's
Gigi. Gigi Hadid has been controversial. I liked it. You didn't. Yeah. Look at that giant hat. But she looks a little like a Southern belle.
Look at her parasol.
Yeah. I have to
love
say her
it.
gown is really beautiful. Silver.
It's so
Beautiful.
cool. I think it's awesome.
And Pam Anderson. Like people.
No.
No. Okay. All right. It was a big night for us here. Like popcorn, movies.
So
We
that
loved
was
it.
your love of
That's
the
my
week?
love. What was yours?
Do you see
Oh, sorry,
what you
I
just did?
I did.
You rubbed.
Okay, I rubbed my legs. I don't know why I do that. I never noticed. Okay. What's your love?
Well, I was gonna have the same love as you, so can we just keep it at that?
All right, so then you say a hate.
Oh my god, okay. So my hate is when my hate is when I'm forced into a situation in which I have to be a Karen. Okay. So, I ordered this skirt 2 months ago. from a sample sale website. And I know that usually when it's something sample sale or on sale, it might take longer for it to ship. And I'm okay with that. I ordered this skirt nearly 2 months ago. And the other day I was cleaning out my clothing because my closet was a mess, or I don't have a closet. My clothing racks were a mess. And I was like, did I ever get that skirt that I ordered 2 months ago? So I looked, and then I went to my account, and on my account it said like there is an issue with the order. So then I had to reach out to customer service. Took 2 days for somebody to get back to me.
Had they canceled it?
No.
Oh, so you paid for it but never got it.
Never got it. And honestly, I think that is corruption. Why do I have to act to get my refund when they are doing something wrong? Like, they should notify me. They're just taking my money.
Yes.
So then the customer service person got back to me and said, we're in touch with the warehouse. We have yet to hear back from them. And you know what? I'm very angry about this. So I wrote them an email.
Uh-oh.
Would you like me to read the email?
Please.
Hello. Thank you for following up. I want to express how frustrating this situation has become. It has now been nearly 2 months since I placed my order and I still haven't received it. I don't understand why a refund has not been issued, especially given that A, the order never arrived, and B, the order tracker indicates that it is no longer in process and there is an issue. As a loyal customer, I understand that some delays are possible. However, I received no updates, outreach, or resolution from your team. The lack of communication has forced me to chase down answers and advocate for a refund that should have been proactively offered. I hope there is a way to remedy this issue. I am extremely disappointed with how this has been handled. Best, Ava.
Nice.
I want store credit.
You should get store credit.
I want like a refund and more.
Oh.
I'm pissed.
Well, you should have asked for what you wanted, right? That was the only thing I would say, loyal following, is I have learned that in a situation like that, you ask for what you want. So that was a fantastic email. I might have just put in there and said, to make this right, I would appreciate the following.
But I don't want to undersell it. Like, what if they give me more than what I would
Well,
want?
I think now you're going to have to go back to them because they were going to give you less. Most places give you less.
Well, now I'm going to see how they respond, and I'm going to say, well, I think I need a credit as well.
We got a credit recently for somebody, and I was very surprised, and it was really good.
What
and
did you
they
get
gave
wrong?
us more. No, they gave us more than, like, I can't remember what it was, but it was good.
Anyway, that's my hate. I'm literally like, I just feel like I'm being like, now I don't want to shop there. Like, I feel like they're just taking my money. Like, it's not the honest thing to do.
Wait, when did you send that?
5 minutes before we started recording this.
All right.
Yeah, I'll update you next week if I ever hear back.
Yeah, I'd like to know.
And also, like, it wasn't particularly expensive. I think it was like $70, but I'm like, you should refund me proactively. Like, why am I chasing you down? Like, nobody's out telling me that this ran out of stock or whatever. I just feel like it feels corrupt.
It does feel corrupt. It feels like they're either not organized or they're trying to hold on to their profits without delivering. I hate when places don't deliver. It's annoying.
Yeah, just
deliver.
So annoying.
Just deliver what you said. Okay, I'll quickly go and say that my hate this week, though I know it's a first world problem, we live in an apartment, as you all know. It's kind of smallish. My closet is not that big, and so I have to change my closet seasonally because I can't fit all my clothes in the closet. I really hate it. I hate having to like take down the sweaters, put them all in their containers, put them up at the top, bring down the spring clothes. I sweat. I end up having, my room is a mess. I just hate the whole thing. I hate it. I wish we had a home where I had a bigger closet.
Okay.
That's my hate.
Well, at least you have a closet.
I know it's superficial. It's true. Ava's
I live in a Zara. I live in a Zara. You can see all my clothes on display.
It's true. Ava, you should post a picture with that this week.
No, I don't
on
want
Instagram.
to post a picture of my room.
No, it's cool. Ava's room, she has hammered hooks to the walls. So she has like a handbag area and a scarf area.
Will
and then she has
says
all
he's
her
walking
bins.
into Zara.
It does look like you're going shopping in a store.
Yeah.
It does. It looks like it's all merchandised for you. All her sunglasses are out in like 2 neat rows.
Yeah, it's just because I have literally nowhere else to put my
It's
shit.
true. All right. That's our love and our hate this week. Shall we move on?
Yes. Okay. So I wrote this down.
This is, thank you, listeners, for sharing this conundrum.
Yes. Thank you. So the listener question this week is from a listener who is coincidentally on topic in a trio of friends. And one person in the trio is...
Meaning that every week we talk about trio of 3 women.
Oh my God.
Okay,
the
just
interrupting.
saying. I'm sorry, but we need to say...
Yeah, I know. But
not everyone knows that we've been talking
if
White
this
Lotus
is
and
if this
Carrie
is their
Coon
first episode,
for...
they might be a little bit confused. Maybe they should go back to the beginning.
Okay, that's
whatever.
True. Continue.
Wait.
Trio of women. Yes.
Okay, so the listener question this week is from a listener who's in a trio of friends.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently one person in the trio is always convincing her to flirt with guys or whatever, is trying to like be a wingman. But in this case of this particular guy, she was really encouraging our listener to go on a date with him and talk to him. And then our listener found out that the friend / roommate / trio member was also talking to this guy. The listener has decided to keep her peace and not say anything because it's not like she really likes him or anything. But it really seems like a very unbestie-like thing to do.
Is this the first time this has happened?
I think this is the first time that this has happened, but I think that it's not the last. And so the listener might be a little bit concerned about how this would occur again in the future.
Yes, particularly if she liked someone.
Exactly. Like,
and
imagine
then
it was the case
friend,
of liking somebody.
Right.
Then that's just mean.
Wait, does the roommate have a boyfriend?
Nobody has a boyfriend.
Okay. So that seems disingenuous on the roommate's part, right?
And I also think it creates a weird spot for the trio because then the other friend is kind of put in the middle of like, what do
Who's
I do?
Right. Well, to me, it seems I'd be curious to know what you have to think, but to me, it seems like if this were to happen again, the writer of this note would have to confront the roommate. Right?
Yes.
And say something. Because this time she didn't care because she didn't like the person. But if it happens again, I think she needs to say, I don't understand what's going on. Why do you push me towards someone and then you end up going? Did she see the
like
person?
the White Lotus where she's like telling her
about
to
the Russian
flirt
guys?
with Valentin, even though what's her face, the Hollywood
Carrie Coon.
woman,
Oh no, yes,
wanted to kiss him the whole time.
Right.
Like, it's just so like. For me, the focus is not really on what happens in the future because I think that's given. I think what happens in the future is that she confronts her. What is more concerning to me is like the pathology of somebody who encourages their friend to do something only to sabotage the thing that they're encouraging them to do.
Well, is it because the person doesn't know themselves well, so they think they're acting in the best interest of their friend, and so that's why they say, oh, you should go talk to him, but that person didn't admit to themselves that maybe they liked the person?
Right. I don't know. I don't know if it's envy. I don't know if they think they're being a good friend. I don't know if it's like subconscious sabotage. Like, it could be anything.
It could be subconscious competition, right? That was sort of that with with the women in White Lotus, right? Mm-hmm. That somehow the friend pushes you to the guy, but then once you show interest, like a weird kind of competitiveness
totally
takes over. And so then the person gets competitive. It's like, wait, I'm going to try and go for that person.
I really don't think that there's a solution to this problem, but I feel like I chose this.
No, there is. The person could confront the roommate
in the future.
Yes.
Like, that would be the solution, but I'm more so saying, like, to have a friend like this, there's not necessarily a solution to that problem because that could just be who the friend is. The reason why I wanted to bring it up is more so like what to do when you find yourself in friendships where there's a weird power dynamic or it feels like there's some lack of balance. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
I do, but isn't the solution adios? I mean,
I don't know if it's a lifelong friend.
yeah, but if the person is really not being kind to you, you got to wonder how good a friend that person is.
Right.
Right?
Or how insecure they are. Like, part of me kind of pities the friend.
But isn't that worth the conversation? See, to me, it's always worth a conversation. Like, hey, what's going on with this? And if the friend is aware enough, the friend could say, I don't know, I get, really weirdly competitive. Something that would explain it to keep the friendship going. Because without confronting the person, to me, it just seems like this is not a good, healthy relationship.
I agree with that. I do.
So, yeah, and also it is weird for that third person because in reality, I know exactly what I would have done when I was young, which is not the thing to do. So everyone take note.
She would have not chosen a side.
No. Had I been the person who wrote into us.
Oh, I know. You were talking about the second friend.
No. So if you've got the trio and you've got the person who wrote into us saying she was going to talk to the guy. Then you've got the roommate who moved in on the guy. Then you've got the third roommate, right? I would have behaved, and this is probably wrong. I know it's wrong. I would have, in my spare time, tried to sidle up to the third roommate to go 2 against 1.
Okay.
I think I would have. I think I would have been like, can you believe she did that? It's exactly what happened in White Lotus. They had 2 talk about the third behind her back. I think I might have done that as a young person.
I think I would have gone in hot. I mean, I actually know. I would have gone in hot.
To the egregious person.
Yeah.
To the offender.
Yeah, I always go in hot.
No, that's good. That's better to go in hot to the offender than to triangle in the third person. No, it's not always better to
go in hot.
No, well, I'm not saying it's always good to go in hot, but it's better than triangling in the third person who...
Right, and then making it a whole group dynamic.
Right, that's not right. It's not right to try and do the power play 2 against 1.
Yeah, I agree.
But you're right. Here's the other thing we've learned. Have you learned this? I think maybe you have.
Big A goes in hot.
No, Big A. What do you do, Big A, when you want to go in hot? Yeah, that's right. You step back, Big A, and you don't confront until the following day or the day after because Big A needs to cool down.
Big A doesn't cool down.
Big A needs to cool down because she does go in hot right away.
I always go in hot.
And I don't think that is the best thing to do, particularly if you want to save the friendship.
Right.
Okay. Have we answered this? I think so.
I think we're pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, I think so. So if it happens again, confront your friend because you don't want her taking your boyfriend or a girlfriend.
Or you just don't want to create a dynamic in a friendship like that.
Or you begin to wonder if the friend is really a friend. Okay.
In honor of Mother's Day coming up this weekend...
Yes, to mothers everywhere.
I wanted to do a motherly focused question of the week. So our topic this week is going off of this idea of who am I, meaning the daughter, without you, meaning the mother. And I wanted to talk primarily about developing your own identity as a daughter of a mother. Does that make sense?
No, you're not the daughter of a mother. Oh, the daughter of a mother. Yes, that's right.
How to develop your own identity and growing alongside your mom. I think that our relationship, whilst it seems strong right now.
She's patting me right now, and she's definitely showing some feigned affection right now.
Whilst it is strong right now, growing up, I would say that I was, I don't even know how to put it nicely, raging?
Maybe. I'd say raging.
I would say raging. And we weren't always close. And I mean, I don't really feel like I was close with anybody whilst I was raging. Lots of whilst. But over time, I feel like my identity has really developed in line with a lot of commonalities with my mom, and in a lot of ways very different. And so I think that what you fail to realize as a daughter is that your mom is also experiencing things for the first time too, even though you think you're the only one experiencing things for the first time. And in a lot of ways, as a mother, I mean, you can say more and I don't want to speak for you, but you want to make sure that your daughter or child avoids the same errors that you made and, you know, really lives their lives to the fullest. And so I wanted to talk about kind of separating identities, having identities come together, but also just like, you know, the things that come with growing up. Like a lot of people feel like their moms kind of try to push their identities onto them. They feel like, you know, I feel like a lot of daughters feel like their moms might have regrets about the ways that they live their lives, so they project it onto them and make them live their lives in a way that their moms would like and not in the way that they would like. And so we find ourselves here. Is there anything that stood out to you in what was said?
Well, I was thinking about Dad, because Dad has told me.
It always comes back to Dad.
Because Dad's a therapist. Dad has discussed different phases with me of natural human development. And one of the phases is individuating, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's important for your kids to individuate. And that might mean that they hate you for some of the time. And it is very hard. And many of my friends, and myself included, have gone through this period of our children not liking us, not wanting to talk to us, screaming at us, I hate you, blah, 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 blah. And that can last kind of a long time or not. Yours lasted a couple years, actually.
Yeah, mine was a while.
So, but it's an important developmental milestone, even if it's uncomfortable for the parent. And it's very hard as the parent to not want to try and fix it while it's going on, even though you probably, in many cases, shouldn't try and fix it. Just let the kid be, right? In some ways, unless they're doing something. As always, my caveat is if you're doing something dangerous, then that would be a problem. So I think that's hard. Like letting your kid individuate, but really important. You need to figure out who you are, what you like, what you don't like, what you're about, and what you're about is not what your parent is about. And then I do think that we are all just as parents, as mothers, just like winging it and flying by the seats of our pants because we don't know what the right thing to do is a lot of the time. Like, if you go and slam the door to your room because you're upset, do I give you space or does that really mean come talk to me because I'm upset? Like it's all very cryptic and hard to figure out as the parent. So I find parenting difficult in every stage. In some ways now you and Will are close to being formed, I think, sort of like your base knowledge. And so maybe it's a little easier because really as parents, what we've tried to do is try and teach you to be good people, try and teach you that you should love what you do.
But good people in the eyes of what you think good people are.
Well, just kind, polite. Yes, that's true.
But that then can come with a lot of projection.
Yes, that's true.
And I think I have not pushed back against that as much, but I think in certain ways Will has pushed back against that because I think in his mind and his values, there are certain things that you might put emphasis on that he does not see as being crucial to being a good person.
Yes. He reads social situations differently than I do often. Mm-hmm. Right? Because he's somebody who pushes.
If you want someone that comes in hot.
That's Will. But guess what? It works for him.
I know it does work for him.
A lot of the time.
But I want to say that also contributes to the point that like, even in trying to do the right thing,
yes,
there is then this idea that it's really like your values
that
the child can then interpret as kind of
Yes, it's impossible to be subjective. Isn't it like the news? Like I learned as a journalist that you're supposed to be subjective when writing an article, right? Neither here nor there. But you do come with your own biases. So it's very
100%.
hard. I think parents try to be as objective as possible. I do think that there are people who have life regrets. And so then they want to try and ensure that their kids don't make the same mistakes. But to me, I don't know. I mean, part of it is about growing up. It is about making mistakes. Like you got to make them for yourself and figure it out for yourself, which I've tried. It's very hard to let your kids make mistakes. And I've really struggled with that.
And I think it's hard to not project your fears about your personal mistakes onto your kids.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think it's hard not to project everything onto your kids, right? Or your hopes and dreams. Like when you and I were talking this morning quickly, not even really about this. I think about parenting. You know, when you were little, you were an A+ soccer player. And I had great dreams of Ava going to the Olympics because I thought she could go all the way.
Oh,
right.
God.
And so you, as a parent, you have like these crazy ideas of like Ava was going to be an Olympic soccer player and she was going to be a Supreme Court justice.
Oh, my God.
Right. She was.
I could still be a Supreme Court justice if we even have that anymore.
I think you have to go to law school.
Yeah, I could do a late in life law school transition.
You absolutely, you could. My general practitioner, who is the best doctor in the world.
RBG is turning in her grave at the sight
No,
of
she's
me.
not. Oh, no. Because my general practitioner, my internist, who's a phenomenal doctor and diagnostician, she was a therapist until she was 40, and at 40 went back to medical school. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And she's the greatest doctor. You can do anything you want. But
the world is endless. Was that you projecting? I'm kidding.
It is a little bit of me projecting. I mean, I get lost in this loop of projection. I just think that identity is hard for her parents. She's knocking my leg because I'm rubbing my legs. I'm thinking. Identity is hard for a parent. And watching your kids make bad choices is hard for a parent, although necessary. And do you think... I don't know, like not all kids like their parents. I'm sorry I'm taking time, but I'm thinking like when you think that your identity is wrapped up with your parents, some kids are probably like, and I think maybe you are like this, like I want to be nothing like my parents.
I think that I was just like I think that I could have been a lot worse, but I would say that I definitely wasn't a nice teenager. And I think a lot of that sprung from identity, and not that I didn't want to be like you, but like I was just so not there for like the school of it all. Like I was a fine student, but like I really did not give enough of a shit. It all worked out well for me and I'm lucky, but I really did not care a lot about, I mean, I cared about my grades, but I didn't put in the work to get like amazing grades. I didn't get into the college that I wanted to go to initially, but I loved where I went to school. And I'm honestly like so shocked that I got in. But I think that a lot of that stemmed from the fact that like you and dad both went to a great school and got good grades and really cared about that stuff, even though you say that you could have worked harder.
I could have.
But I felt like they all care about that. Will all cares about that. I don't want to care about that. And I don't care about that. And so I think that was an area that maybe I shouldn't have died on. But I do think that because I wanted to differentiate or individualize, that was kind of the vehicle that I used, which was not beneficial to me in the short term. But I think in the long term, it kind of was, because I've never really cared about that kind of stuff. And I did well when I graduated from college, and I felt like I learned what I needed to learn. So I kind of am seeing both sides. Like, yeah, maybe if I was a harder worker like you guys, my path would have been different. But the path that I'm on right now is pretty great, and I still don't really give a shit about grades and that kind of stuff. What do you think?
So much to unpack in that. I think that it must be very hard to live up as a kid, to live up to an expectation that you don't, that a parent doesn't know they're putting on you, right? Like, did we want you to go to our schools? Yeah, sort of, but that was probably a bad expectation on our part. And as a parent, you're like trying to like shut up and not have these expectations, but you do a little. And we've talked about this before.
You had that expectation more than a little. You really wanted me to work harder.
I did.
And
I didn't necessarily want you to go to my school, but I wanted you to work harder.
And what do you say now, seeing where I've landed? I don't think that really mattered.
No, I don't think it mattered either. And by the way, it taught me something, which is you don't have to like kill yourself in college to become successful, right? Like I know that I'm not quite sure that where you go to school makes that big of a difference, is what I've learned.
I do want to say this.
I think that your program and that your school is a phenomenal school. And I think that was really eye-opening to me as somebody who maybe have blinders on about, we've talked about this before. Parents often judge their self-worth by their kids, and it's the wrong thing to do, right? Does it say something about me if you go to Harvard instead of going to a community college? Like, that's wrong as a parent, but we're human. So how do you fix that?
Yeah. And I think you fix that through not projecting yourself onto your children.
Right. So I think that it's actually great that you had so much strength, because there was a lot of pressure there from Dad and from me going against you. And you were just like, no, I'm sticking to my guns. I'm doing it my way. And that was really good.
Yeah. I also think that like, it's so hard to also, and this is a completely different conversation, but it's so hard to, and this is also all coming from a place of extreme privilege, and I'm very aware of that, but it's also really hard to grasp when you're growing up that there might be other areas that you excel in. Like, for the entirety of high school, I worked at a clothing store and I loved working, and like that for a high schooler is not really the most important thing. And I was able to do that because I had the time and the resources to be able to like work and study and, do everything at once. And I'm really lucky to have had that. But when you're at that age, it's really hard to harness that and be like, look, my grades might not be that good, but I make my own money and you didn't have to pay for anything for me throughout high school. It's like hard to really grasp that. And I think that also comes with individuating, like being confident that the steps that you're taking are the right steps for you. Now, am I the same person that I was when I was 17? No, I'm literally a million times nicer. Like, I don't even know if there's a number you could put on how much nicer.
So much nicer.
Like,
so much
I
nicer.
actually was a mean person.
Yes, she was.
I was so mean.
I might use the B word.
Oh my God.
With a capital B.
I was really like not nice to anybody. So obviously I've grown, but a lot of my values that I had when I was 17, like, working well and up to a good standard and being proud of the work that I'm doing, and valuing friendships, like that all has stuck with me. And I think a lot of that came from me separating my identity.
You know what's hard? That when you're a kid, when you're a parent watching your kids, it is true that your brain doesn't fully form until your late 20s, like fully form. And so you do worry about judgment, right? And so it's this weird line between, I want you to be independent, make choices, but I can see what's coming down the road, and I don't think this one's a good one for you, sometimes.
Yeah.
And so it's very hard as a parent, because the kids are locked in thinking that they know best, but you don't always know best. So that's when I think we tried to be like, okay, it's good for them to make mistakes, but is something going to be quote unquote catastrophic
Right,
mistake.
and you never really had any of those, which I think you're lucky.
No, but it depends on how you value things, right? If you think going to an Ivy League school is like
Right,
absolutely
right.
essential and your kids don't
Right.
go, then you think that's a catastrophic mistake.
Yeah.
The other two things I want to say are, one is I do also think that there is like a weird codependency that can happen sometimes with parents and kids, where parents kind of keep the kids in their grasp, I guess,
Orbit.
in their orbit, by making the kids dependent on them.
Mm-hmm.
And some kids don't individuate and still as adults look to their parents to, like, the parents are overly involved and the kids
Yes.
allow them to be overly involved.
Yes.
So I was thinking about that, like, how do you know if you're overly involved with your parents or not overly involved? And how do you know if your parents are, you know, calling you every day and saying, you need to marry someone like this and you need to do a job like that, and,
Yeah.
you know, or live in a certain place or don't live in a certain place. Like, that's complicated to navigate. And then the other thing I was thinking about when you were talking was, I think as mothers, I'll just speak as a mother, you try and be a role model for your kid in the way that you think is right. So for me, I worked full time and I wasn't around a lot, but I tried to be present. Not that I wasn't around, but I worked. And so you try and be present with your kids in the time that you are home. Like, I tried really hard. And I do remember there was a time when you were little, when you were like proud of the fact that I worked. And I always wondered if I was hurting you by working because I wasn't around.
There was only one time where I hurt from you not being around, and you know exactly what it was. Schoolhouse Rock,
Oh.
5th grade.
Yeah. Auntie Freed went for me.
Auntie Freed went in the place of Ellen.
No, but I went the second night. I went to one of them.
Okay. She missed one of the shows, and it was the first show, and
Yeah.
it was of Schoolhouse Rock, and I was given the star role of Uranus in the solar system.
She was. I call it Uranus. Is that wrong?
It's Uranus.
Eva was Uranus.
And it was iconic, and she literally wasn't there one night, and I was upset about
God
it.
bless Auntie Freed. Auntie Freed went in my
She
place.
will never let me live it down also, that out of all of the planets, that's what I was.
I was on a business trip. And so I think it's very hard as a parent that you're hoping that what your kids see is that you are strong and independent. You can make your own money. You can be responsible for yourself or for your family, like all these things that I was hoping for. But at the same time, it's like, wow, I am not around. I'm not around after school to have those conversations. I'm not around to help with homework some of the time. Or I always felt like right after school, those were the real conversations that happened, of like bad things that happened during the day or things that were wrong. And so that is hard as a parent.
Yeah.
So you just never know if you're doing it right. You just
Never know.
don't.
I've turned out pretty well, so.
But do you feel like you have a separate identity that is the identity you want? And do you think you would know if you didn't have the separate identity and really it was
I think
me?
that we are very close.
Although you drive me insane. And I drive you absolutely
It's
out of your
actually,
mind.
I don't drive you that crazy. You're going to be so sad when I move out.
I am.
You're actually going, I don't
I'm
think you're
gonna
going to
cry.
know what's going to hit you when
I
I
know.
move out. You're going to be really upset.
I also have my dog. Basically, I live with someone who's a pet sitter because Ava takes totally good care of the dog.
Yeah. You're going to be really upset when I move out.
I am.
I know. I
am.
think you're underselling how upset
I'm not.
you're gonna
No,
be.
I know I'm going to be. I'm going to
So-
be coming over and dropping off like gluten-free muffins and things all the time.
Okay.
But how do you know if really, I mean, think about your friends. I'd like to
feel
know.
so happy and comfortable in who I am that I feel like it doesn't matter whether or not I've differentiated enough or this or that. Like, I'm happy with my
Like
identity.
you feel like yourself.
Yeah.
You feel like, I did not feel that way when I was young. It took me a long time to.
I think that there's so much for me to learn and experience, but like, I think at my core, I am Ava and I have these values and I see the world in this way. And some of it is shaped by my family, but like you can really say that about all aspects of your identity, like your religion, your sexuality, right? Like that's all, at some point the family of it stops and you're able to choose, right? Like
No, but
I
not
feel
everybody.
What do you mean? I feel some people don't have the luxury of being able to choose. That I understand.
No, but I just think that I did not, at 23, I was just at the beginning of figuring out who I was. That I had no idea. I was not confident. I was not self-assured. And I certainly could not tell you what my values were.
But
I think you're miles ahead.
But I don't think that correlates with your parents. I think your parents can offer guidance in a starting point, but I don't necessarily think that your entire identity is dependent on them.
No, but I'm going to say the opposite, right? Like I grew up in a family where my parents were very hands-off. We all know this, that they had a lot of things that they were dealing with and lots of situations in the house. And so for me, my parents were sort of like, you can take care of yourself, you're good. But I had a lack of structure, right? I know there can be too much of like parents imposing their identity. Mine was the opposite, where no one was imposing anything. Like it was sort of a free-for-all. Nobody gave a shit if I went to school. Nobody gave a shit if I skipped school, because I skipped a lot of school. My grades didn't really matter. Like I was pretty self-motivated, but I got out of college and I was just like, I have no idea who I am.
And I think there are people that would be envious of that felt like they were too shaped by.
No, I know, but I don't think either one is
No,
particularly
neither
good.
do I.
It was hard. It was very painful to figure out who I was.
Yeah.
And to like tap into my identity.
How can a person know everything at 18, but nothing
She's singing again.
at
It's bad.
22?
No more singing. So do you think that therapy has a lot to do with this?
Yes and no. I think that, I mean, we're the wrong people to ask.
Right,
because
'cause
we're
we're
a highly therapized
Yes.
family. And we
believe in therapy.
We believe in therapy, and I've been going to therapy my whole life, so I can't really comment on the alternative. That's a better question for Will. I mean, I believe that everybody should go to therapy and that it should be more accessible. So I would say, yes, a lot of it can be attributed to that. But
And do you have friends who you think are sort of tied up with their parents' identities? Or do you
Yes.
think all your friends have individuated?
No.
And what do you think the problem is there if you think about somebody you know?
over-involvement, and I think it's
Over-involvement of who?
the
The
parents.
parents?
I think it mostly, at the end of the day, the lack of individuation, I believe, rests on the parents.
And is possibly, I would say it's because at this stage of life, it is a little daunting. Like, what's my life about as a woman
without
in my
me.
50s? So you begin to like hold on a little
Yeah,
tighter.
and you get
maybe.
a little white dog, and you...
I did do that. So that's good because now I have the dog.
Now he can be
But I think there might be a problem if I start running over every day to your new apartment with gluten-free muffins.
You can project your values onto him. He's very polite.
He is. He's very
going
good
back
dog.
to kindergarten.
No,
first grade. Sorry. Graduated from kindergarten. Anyway, I think we discussed a lot, and I think there are a lot of people are going to have a lot of thoughts. And I think this could warrant a part 2 next week.
Yeah, I just don't know, like, what's the takeaway for somebody? Do you know if you're not individuated?
See, this is how we're different. I don't think there needs to be a takeaway.
I
from
always
this.
think there needs to be
Right,
takeaway.
my
I want to find
takeaway
the
from this-
solution. Like, what if you feel like you don't know your identity and you are not
And I
breaking
think
away
that
from your
that's for you to
parents? Like,
figure out
what are
with
you
time.
as the person?
Yeah, I
What,
think
it
that's
becomes so
growing.
painful that you figure it
Or
out?
you just grow and evolve until you create your own identity.
I need to think about that.
Liney's going to start barking. The neighbors are home.
All right. Maybe we might have part 2 and we might need guests for this one.
I know. Does anyone want to be a guest?
Who wants to be a guest? We
If
want
so,
guests.
write into @TotallyUnqualifiedPodcast. Leave us a voicemail on our Instagram, TikTok pages. You can also leave us an email at TotallyUnqualifiedPodcast@gmail.com. We are here. We are ready to listen. Let us know your thoughts, and we will see you next week.
Wait. I also want to know if anybody...
Happy Mother's Day.
Okay, please. I want to know if anybody thinks that we should have a financial guest on to talk
Can
about
we-
the things
I
that
don't
you
like
need
the
to
fucking
know.
financial idea. I don't like it. I think
I
it sounds
want-
like a snooze fest.
No, I want someone who understands money
Okay,
management to tell you the 5 things you need to know.
stop. I don't want to do that. Maybe you can do that one alone with the financial person.
All right.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody. Enjoy. Make it
Bye.
about you for one day.
Bye.
Bye.